Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Lethal Sheriff here, and today we're going to be jumping back into Dead by Daylight. We're trying to finish off the rest of the Dead by Daylight killer backstories. We're very close, we've only got a few more killers to go, and yeah. So here we've got the Blight, so let's jump into his backstory. So, to understand the human condition, one must rise above it. This was the credo of Talbot Grimes, a Scottish chemist whose unrestrained ambition took him into towering heights. As a boy, he was a popular child, bright, charismatic, and unafraid to challenge authority. Yet despite his social graces, he was fiercely independent, spending much of his time exploring the sprawling fields near his town alone. What began as a child's curiosity nearly turned deadly after experimenting with a patch of poisonous foxglove. For days, he laid in bed dripping with sweat, purging any food that touched his stomach. When he recovered, it wasn't fear that gripped him, but fascination. There was something magical in how a single flower could so drastically affect him. Into his adult years, his ambition developed as quickly as his questionable methods. He attended the London School of Medicine and excelled despite several reprimands. His willingness to push the limits secured him a position with the British East India Company, and within 7 years he was made head chemist. In time he completed one of his great achievements, a chemical that could increase a worker's productivity while reducing their need for rest. Sounds interesting. He was rewarded with a secret laboratory beneath a prison camp on Dyer Island. I wonder what the heck that is, I'll have to look it up. There, off the coast of India, prisoners from the Opium War became his unwilling subjects, leading to a drug that allowed soldiers to withstand incredible amounts of pain. Though most side effects were minor, there were rumours that a small number of soldiers went mad. In feral states, they massacred villagers, impaling the populace on bayonets, leaving them hanging from trees. Okay, that sounds lovely. There were no official reports on the subject, and Talbot refused to blame himself for what could only be exaggerated war stories. True. Though his callous brilliance seemed unflappable, he was ignorant to the enemies he questionable. Ignorant to the enemies his questionable work had amassed on. The realization struck him quite literally, with a steel pipe to the back of his head during a trip to Mangalore. He was bound and loaded into a wagon. When his blindfold was removed, a sickly man showed him a mass grave filled with hundreds of bodies. Unbeknownst to Talbot, his productivity increasing drug had killed nearly an entire factory's worth of workers. Oh my goodness. He knew he couldn't defend himself against the anger and accusations of his abductor. All he could do was curl up as the blows from the steel pipe rained down. His body was thrown into the grave and left for dead. Shifting between consciousness and the darkest black, he crawled for an escape. Fingers sinking into rotting flesh, black flies feasted on his uncovered skin. The sensation of 100 pinpricks stabbing into him. As he collapsed, he came face to face with a dead woman's dazzling hazel eyes. Ugh. Too weak to pull away, he could know nothing but witness his life's work. Then, from the edge of death, he was brought back. He found himself on a small bed as a kindly, wrinkled face looked over him. With each pained breath, he was nursed back to health in an ancient mystery school posing as a monastery. In verdant gardens behind tall, unassuming walls, monks studied forbidden texts, striving to expand the human mind in the search for other dimensions, believing one to be connected to the other. Talbot's knowledge proved undesirable, his mind altering chemicals, integrating seamlessly with theories of neural expansion. He realized then that his salvation was no coincidence. He was plucked from the pit specifically to advance the school's knowledge. He agreed to help until his recovery was complete, being tasked with research what the monks called the soul chemical, a compound derived from the pineal gland that could open the mind's eye. What began as a favour to his saviours soon became an obsession. Poring over the school's archives of lost texts, he uncovered scientific formulas that confirmed previously unthinkable ideas. He dreamt of ushering humankind into a new period of enlightenment. Perhaps then the nightmares of hundreds of dead factory workers and of those two hazel eyes would fade from his mind. As he came closer to a brief breakthrough, the demeanour of the monks shifted. The gentle smiles they offered were paired with uneasy eyes that quickly darted away when spotted. The polite conversations he was once privy to turned to hushed murmurs. The last thing he would see of the school was the cracked ceiling above his bed, branching like a dendrite through plaster. His next memories were a shattered mosaic of images and sensations. Smearing lights, horse hoofs on cobblestones, coarse burlap stretching at his cheeks, and sharp bites into his arm. He awoke ragged and unwashed, splayed on the straw mattress of an opium den. Mind in a dense fog, his first thought was of his notes, the only record of his groundbreaking relations. He searched frantically, scrambling through the dingy basement, pleading aloud for help. The few other denizens looked up from their hammocks, offering nothing but drug-soaked eyes and apathetic gazes that soon fell into half-slumber, before he noticed the robed figure appear behind him. A needle plunged into his arm, and the world disappeared once more. Awoken again, each time hazier than the last, he tongued at hollow gapes between his teeth. How long he wandered. A faint memory returned. The soul chemical, his notes, the verge of a breakthrough. A faraway whisper entered his mind. He fumbled with his stone, sharpening it with shaking hands. In the dim light of the den, amongst the catatonic occupants, he carved his research from memory into the walls. He wrote for hours until his fingers bled, moving to the floor, taking in everything the voice whispered, despite his inability to comprehend it. When there was nowhere left to write, he gripped the stone and carved the message into his chest. Ow! Stained with blood, he witnessed a miracle appear before him. A magnificent field of lush orange flowers. The whispered voice beckoned to him, urging him to enter the field and discover worlds and dimensions beyond human comprehension. For a moment, Talbot felt the sense of wonder he possessed as a child. The denizens of the opium den awoke to silence, the dry scent of smoke still lingering in the air. Shambling out of the drug-hazed fog, they found the stone floor wet with blood, tiny rivets coursing through the cracks. His eyes adjusted to the darkened room. The jagged lettering scrawled along its length began to appear, written over and over, without end. There was but one single line: death is only the beginning. What a very interesting story. As you can see, looks like Talbot turned into this hideous creature. So yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in game. Alright. Raccoon Police Station. We'll see how we go in this one, ladies and gentlemen. So the thing with the Blight is he is rushed. I can see whatever. Rush, slam into wall, rush again, repeat. Don't blind me. Just like that. Oh, come on. Oh, we're gonna fight. I think someone was in that locker. Yes! Good stuff. That's here, I thought there was someone. Don't tell me someone's AFK. Oh, this is going well. Someone DC'd, someone with AFK. Oh. What the heck? That leg? Is that scratch marks? Good stuff. I think the bill's upstairs. Yes. You guys sad? No. Oh, bad timing! So one of my perks is Hex for the Grounds. And if there's two totems, if the survivor cleanses... Oh, I'm not going to be able to get this. No. All the hooks are... You didn't throw it down? Good stuff, mate. Yeah, so there's two totems that spawn on the map. Once the survivor cleanses either one of them, it's active for a short time, and it puts the survivors into an exposed status effect. which means you can literally hit them into the dying state. It's one of my favourite perks. Use it. Oh, that's right, it's that list. You're not saving again. He is! Oh, she's back! The DC person returns. You're moaning a lot. What the heck? 360 me. I knew it. What is your plan? Look, here's your hook. Remember it? Gonna pass. Now, up here. That is how the Blight is played, ladies and gentlemen. He's a very hard killer to play. You kind of have to play him a lot to figure out where survivors are going, where to slam into a wall. But he is a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, we'll jump into the next killer and read into their backstory, and then we'll jump into it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, on to our next killer, which is the twins. I know, they're very scary looking, especially Victor here. So this is Victor, which is in the chest, and this is Charlotte. So when you're playing as them, you get to control both of them. And I'll show you what that's like in game. But let's jump into their backstory. So, a pair of conjoined twins, Charlotte and Victor Deshays, formed an emotional bond like none other. The unluckiness of their successful birth in the 17th century would be described as miraculous, yet it immediately brought about their life of persecution. The twins emerged with Victor's lower body affixed into the chest of his sister, legs twisted around her muscles and organs. He was smaller than Charlotte, grown as if he were an appendage of her body rather than a fully formed boy. As the newborns screeched, so too did the midwife who delivered them, running from the home yelling of a demon birthed by a witch. So began the hunting of Charlotte, Victor, and their mother, Madeline. The coming years were fleeting memories for the twins, yet they were the closest thing to a normal life they would know. The journey with their mother was what they believed all children underwent. The games of running and hiding through France's countryside being an ordinary occurrence, At the age of 5, a new challenge to the game was presented as their mother fell ill. Pale and exhausted, Madeline had no choice but to pass responsibility of collecting food onto Charlotte. The girl, burdened under extra clothing that concealed Victor's protruding body, set out from their forest tent and marched to the nearby town. Through a peculiar sight, she did what she had been trained for, waiting for an opening at the market and swiping whatever food she could. It was a victory in the game, but one short-lived. After midnight, glowing flames surrounded the family's encampment, bobbing through the darkness. A single commanding shout broke the night silence, and a mob of witch hunters streamed in. Grubby hands tore the twins from their bed. Charlotte frantically kicking all who approached. Madeline cried for her children, her voice abruptly silenced by a club to her skull. Victor shrieked, the wailings of a trapped rat. The hunters coordinated quickly. A judge on hand declared Madeline guilty of witchcraft, evidenced by her demon sworn. Within minutes, they shackled her unconscious body to a tree, surrounding her feet with dry twigs and moss. As she awoke, she did not struggle, only begged her children to turn away. They would be given no choice. The twins were forced to watch as the torch was lit, and they watched as flames leapt up their mother's shirt, charring and sizzling her flesh. Now that is a horrible thing for any kid to witness, especially for their own mother. Even the description of this is worse. Like, to watch this fat drip down from her body, that's disgusting, and her face bubbled and twisted. They watched until the screams that tore her vocal cords were no more, and all that was left was the crackling of embers and the nauseating stench. Whatever joy and goodness were in them died with their mother. Caged and transported to an old wooden temple, they were sold to a secretive group clad in dark cloaks. Victor reacted with the ferocity of a rabid beast at any who approached, clawing and biting. The only solace that could calm him was the embrace of his sister. Charlotte, bitter and hateful to all but her brother, found purpose in being his protector. Within the temple, they were exposed to unusual experience for years, some cruel, many simply baffling. One day they would be made to break the neck of a small grey bird, the next they would bleed their fingers into a vase of roses. Every 7th day they would sleep with the branch of a damp oak beneath their pillow. There was the chanting, a never-ending chorus from cloaked figures on scheduled interviews. In time, a final experiment was planned. 2 robed figures herded the twins to the centre of the temple, holding Charlotte upon an altar in a room lit with candelabras. I think that's how you say that. The wrinkled face of a man peered from under his hood, placing a hand on the forehead of each twin, making careful examination of their skulls. Memento mori, he muttered, as he withdrew a shining blade. Charlotte rolled to his side, shifting her brother off the altar. With a screech, he stretched his arm as far as he could, knocking a candelabra to the ground. The flames took to the dry wood immediately. They swept over the floor, igniting the black robes that brushed against it. Screams of agony pierced the shadows, invigorating Charlotte. She dashed through the inferno, vision concealed with nothing but black smoke and blazing flame. A painful heaviness filled her lungs. No exit could be found, every step leading to overwhelming heat. She fell to her knees, suffocating, and then saw it. Sunlight, trees. She stumbled from the fire into dewy grass without looking back. She ran into the forest until she collapsed. When Charlotte opened her eyes, she reached for Victor's hands. He made no attempt to budge. His body hung helplessly from her torso. She clasped his face, stared into his sad, still eyes. The movements she was accustomed to, his body pulling at her skin, his legs prodding at the cavity in her chest, were no more. Victor was dead. Charlotte had no choice but to continue moving as she mourned, bearing black cloaks, and witch hunters were prowling. She concealed her brother's corpse under her clothing and marched for the sewers of a nearby city. There she set up camp, emerging often to steal whatever food she could, resorting to raiding barns for pig slop when desperation set in. Throughout the years, Victor's corpse rotted as her limbs oozed and blackened, yet his body demonstrated resistance to complete decomposition, as if his sister's blood still coursed through him. Protecting his lifeless body became Charlotte's sole reason for being, refusing to ever be separated from the only family she had left. Life in her teenage years was a game of survival. Her hatred for humanity grew each day under the realization they would never leave her be. No matter how many died during her botched robberies and desperate attempts to escape, there would always be more to pursue and sling words of condemnation at her. Monster, demon, witch. And it was the Black Cloaks who were the worst of them. Their hunt for her was unending, forcing her to constantly abandon shelter and run. For years Charlotte fled, drawing blood out of necessity, trailing her long dead brother in a night. During a frigid winter, her body began to break down. Food was scarce, and the refuge of rickety shacks were no use against freezing temperatures. Sickle in hand, she sheltered near her campfire in the woods, not knowing if the Black Cloaks would take her before the cold did. As frost crystallized around her nostrils, and her lips took on a gentle blue hue. Charlotte felt something she had never experienced: acceptance. She closed her eyes, opening herself to the serenity of death, when a shriek, shrill and vicious, pierced her ears. Victor spasms and flailed from her chest, a cloud of fog encompassing him. Before she could react, he spilled from her in a bloody puddle, landing on the snow and running. Putting herself from the edge of death, she gave chase. Calling his name, she ran for the forest until her legs could hardly carry her, until finally within her view was Victor, sitting at the edge of a thick fog. His face, twisted and feral, screamed as a dark hooded figure emerged from the fog, grabbed his arm and seized him. The serenity that had crept in Charlotte was extinguished, replaced with the seething hatred and rage she had depended on for so long. With a tight grip of her sickle, she charged onto the fog, prepared to eviscerate any who set foot near her brother. So it seems like the twins have had a very rough backstory. They've had a rough life. But it seems like in the end, the entity has seen what has happened to them and brought them in to his realm. So yeah, well, we'll see you, ladies and gentlemen, in game. Alright, Sanctum of Wrath. This is a very big map. It's very wide and spacious. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good pounces with Victor. So, you wanna release Victor? Get right over here. Okay. So let's sit there on this gen. Now once you... Yeah, Victor's back into a chest now. So once you charge or pounce onto a survivor, Victor sticks to them until they crush him. Actually, it's not there. Of course he's in the locker. Okay, so someone else was with her as well. Now you want to be careful because Victor can get crushed as well. I didn't even know I was there. And you're bad at the flashlight. The other thing is you can actually leave Victor out on the ground. And he can just survey any survivors. You can check lockers as well. Very smart. She used head on to crush me. Well, crush Victor. For that, you'll pay. Haha. Come on, just get it. And he died. So it took her. They've only got 2 dudes. In there, so he will stay there until you get there. Well, that works perfectly. And there's the basement here, Jakey. Oh, you're lucky. He's very angry, this baby. I don't want to get him. I've got 4 other gens up as well. This one's not been done. all three of them over there. Okay. Back up. No. Sounds like he's saying I'm a man. I hate that pig. I hear boom. So you can't see scratch marks from Victor, but you can see blood. No. Got it. My goodness. Oh, did you have adrenaline? Sorry, it's not to save you. Another thing, if you actually get them with Victor at the exit gates, they can't leave until they get rid of Victor. Good game, good game. What a random war. So yeah, that's how the twins are played. Could have done it just a little bit better, but actually get a kill, so that's totally fine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that might be it for today. I hope you liked the video. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button and also hit that like button. Really means a lot. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do another DBD killer backstory video soon. I'm going to do some more Minecraft and more Borderlands as well, so keep an eye out on the channel. It'll be very exciting. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want me to like live stream it, just let me know down in the comments below as well. I do have Twitter, and I could probably live stream it on YouTube as well. So leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll read them, and yeah, I'll see what I can do. Well, I'll catch you guys next time.